Quorum for council meeting Friday the 6th of June 2025. And councillors, I'll start with a prayer. Heavenly Father, grant that we who would seek to serve you may have the wisdom of your Spirit, the guiding of your hand, and the grace to serve together for the prosperity of our city, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. National Anthem, and our lead singer is here.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are one and free. We've golden soil and wealth for toil, our home is God by sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts, all beauty rich and rare. In history's page, let every stage advance Australia fair. In joyful strains that let us sing.
Advance for Australia fair. Please be seated. I thought I'd give the back room a little last bit of my rendition there. Item 1, attendance and apologies, nil. Item 2, leave of absence, nil. Item 3, condolences, I've got nil. Councillors, anyone? It's nil. Mayoral minute, I go to 4.1. Review of State Emergency Service Gold Coast councillors. I move that the CEO bring a report to the general meeting of council by September 2025, outlining current capability of the State Emergency Service across the Gold Coast to ensure it has the resources and support required to continue serving the Gold Coast in times of need. Anyone want to speak against? Put the motion to you. Sorry? No. Put the motion to you. All in favour, show of hands. Against, motion carry, unanimous. 4.2, ministerial call-in request.
Please, Mr. Mayor. I have the declaration to
Declaration? Oh, Councillor Gates.
Sorry to interrupt, but Mr. Mayor, a couple of years ago, I was, in an abundance of caution, I sought the approval of council to be briefed on this application that we're speaking about today. It was because of donations that I had received, and at the time they were outside the relevant term. That's 2 years ago. And now it's between 10 and 16 years since any donation has been received. I am seeking permission today to remain in the room. This application is of incredible importance to the city as a whole. And I have a very, very long association with Dreamworld, Mr. Mayor, dating back to 2008 to the Longhurst family, and then the Macquarie Group when they subsequently tried to expand and ultimately sold off some of their commercial holdings. So I'm very familiar with the area. I have a lot of input that I can provide, and I've never before in all the declarations that I've made been arrogant enough to suggest that my staying in the room is of greater public benefit. But on this occasion, I truly believe that my participation is in the public interest and is in Dreamworld's interest as well. So I seek for permission to remain in the room and participate in the discussion and the decision.
Okay. All right, Councillor, it's up to us. Councillor Peter Young.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd be happy to move a motion of the nature that Councillor Gates may participate in the decision despite her conflict of interest, because of her long and deep knowledge of the local area and the issues of concern, and her forthright representation of the broader community's interests. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Second, anyone? Councillor Martin? Yeah, ask the question.
Just, Mr. Mayor, I was wondering if Councillor Young would include the words that the donation was outside the relevant term.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Thanks,
Could you
Councillor
please add that donation was outside the relevant term? Okay. Anyone want to speak against the motion? Put the motion to you. All in favour, show of hands. Against, motion carry.
I think we need to take a division on a
only.
conflict. Sorry.
You ready? All in favour, show of hands.
Mayor Tate, Councillor Young, Councillor Taylor, Councillor Curtis, Councillor Hamill, Councillor Fowler, Councillor Wilkinson, Councillor Patterson, Councillor Martin, Councillor Lacastra, Councillor Duran, Councillor Tozer, Councillor Marshall and Councillor O'Neill.
Against? Councillor Gates did not vote. And Councillor Taylor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just dawned on me that our family company currently holds an agreement or service maintenance contract with Dreamworld currently at the moment. So I suppose I'm bringing it to the attention of the committee and feel, I haven't prepared anything at this stage, but it's an agreement to hold fire protection services with Dreamworld. We deal obviously with maintenance side of it. We're not dealing with any of the owners or components, and I'm open persuadable. So I'm sort of asking, would it be a declarable requirement?
I think you need to declare it.
Yep. Fantastic.
Get a new sheet up.
Yep. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, may I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Through you to...
Stand up.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Mayor, through you to our legal advice. Would you consider this potentially a prescribed conflict, or do you consider it declarable?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, based on the facts that I've heard, it'd certainly meet the threshold of declarable. I'd probably need some further facts to determine whether it's prescribed. I think the safe course is declarable conflict of interest.
Okay. Let's start filling in the detailed nature of declarable.
So, my family company, Dayshaw Fire Systems, currently holds a service agreement with Dreamworld to maintain their fire services.
Yeah, can you name the company?
Dayshaw
Dayshaw?
Dayshaw Pride Limited, yep.
I think I've used them before.
Sorry?
I think I've used them before.
Might have. Nature of the relationship is a family-related company.
Could you add that?
DAYSHELF.
Thank you.
Proprietary Limited. One word, yep.
Proprietary Limited.
PTY Ltd. Nature of the relationship, family business. Is that enough?
Family business. My parents are shareholders of the company.
Mayor, do you mind if I ask a question?
Go ahead, Councillor Young.
Thanks. Through you, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to pose a question to Councillor Taylor. Just in regards to the contract that you mentioned, does it have a life expectancy, please?
They normally do. I wouldn't know what the actual contract status at the moment is. We've had the contract, I would say, from my perspective, I'd say 30 years. So there would be, I'm not aware at this stage of the actual time frame of expiration of that particular contract.
Thanks.
Councillor Taylor.
I'm quite keen to ask a few questions that just can help the administrators work out exactly what the declaration is. So can you describe, through you, Mr. Mayor, to Councillor Taylor, can you describe the relationship between you and Dayshelf? Are you a controlling interest, or are you a director, or what do you actually do for Dayshelf? And is it called Dayshelf Proprietary Limited, or is it called Dayshelf Fire Systems Proprietary? What's the
Dayshelf
actual name?
Proprietary Limited or Dayshelf Fire System Trading as Dayshelf Proprietary Limited?
Yep.
My role is I'm not a director, I'm not a shareholder, but I do provide managerial advice to the business.
Could you describe, through Mr. Mayor again, could you describe how regularly you are involved in the day-to-day operations of the business? How often do you engage with it?
It could be a couple of days a week at a minimum.
And is it
I'm not in here every day.
No.
But I attend the office a couple of times a week.
And Mr. Mayor, my final question is do you or your family, maybe not your parents, but maybe your family, do you receive dividends from as a shareholder, or have so dividends, or as part of a family trust, or any connected entity? Do you receive dividends for your work for them, or for your
there's distribution through the family members. I have not received in the last couple of years, but I potentially can receive dividends through family trust.
Mr. Mayor, I think given the magnitude of this nature, I'm probably at a point where I think it might be just best for Councillor Taylor that he leaves the room for this decision. That's my view based on the information he's provided me. Whilst I hold him in the highest regard, I just think that's actually safer for everyone based on the decision that we might be thinking today.
Councillor Hamill.
Smed, I think we just need to appreciate some context. Like, Councillor Taylor's company has a commercial contract with Dreamworld. Like, they're not donors to him. He's got no relationship with anyone involved. The subject matter of what's being talked about today has no material change or impact on him, his business, or anyone else. Like, I'm actually a bit surprised Councillor Tozer's pointed that normally he's the one defending the other way. Like, the context of the conflict to the decision we're making today is so far removed, I don't know how it could ever be perceived as prescribed. Declare the conflict, there's a commercial agreement. We acknowledge the fact there's one there, but he's got no material influence or change from it. He gets no benefit from this decision today, neither way. Like, it does not meet prescribed or even remotely close to it, in my opinion.
I don't necessarily say it meets the threshold for prescribed, and I'm not going to argue that point. But my point is just based on the information provided, I think that the decision today could be perceived as favourable for Dreamworld or unfavourable for Dreamworld, and because it could be favourable or favourable to a significant enough magnitude, I think there is a natural synergy between that decision and Councillor Taylor participating in it, and his company potentially being either favourably or unfavourably viewed by Dreamworld as a result of his participation in it. So I think from his benefit, not necessarily for the decision maker's benefit, for his benefit, it might be best if he just goes up. But that's my personal view, and he can choose to do his own thing.
So there's two options. You can voluntarily leave the room, or you go, no, bugger it, you guys vote on it. What do you want to do?
I'm actually happy to let the room vote on it. I think I'm persuadable. I think in this particular case, we do have a commercial contract, which I believe that I don't have any direct connections with the main directors or main stakeholders. I'm comfortable if the room doesn't feel like I should be in the room, but I am persuadable. And I'll accept the decision of the room, and I think it's important that it is tested in the room.
Okay, fair enough. All right, so we go there. Someone like to move that Councillor Taylor may participate in the decision despite the councillor's conflict of interest because the nature is far removed and you can add value to.
So, Mr. Mayor, given that I've already put my position on the record, I'll move that Councillor Taylor should leave the room for this decision.
All right. Okay.
And if it fails, then we can take the next steps after that.
Okay.
So the motion, if you want me to read it or say it again, is that Councillor Taylor should leave
B,
the room.
item B. No, it's down.
Yeah, there
It's
it is.
B. Go to B. All right.
Quite concerned about this beeping sound, Mr. Mayor. Are we? I don't know, but it seems like we might explode any minute.
The team are addressing.
Okay.
Okay. So the motion is B. Mover, Councillor Tozer, seconder, Councillor Patterson. That's the motion I'm putting to you, councillors. Straightforward. All in favour of the motion, show of hands. Division.
Mayor Tate? No?
No.
No.
Not voting.
So, Councillor Young, Councillor Fowler, Councillor Wilkinson, Councillor Patterson, Councillor Martin, Councillor Lacastra, Councillor Duran, Councillor Tozer.
Against?
Mayor Tate, Councillor Curtis, Councillor Hamill, Councillor Marshall and Councillor O'Neill.
Okay, the motion's carried. See you later. Anyone else? Got conflict?
Mr. Mayor, would you mind just adding that Councillor Gates did not vote?
Councillor Gates did not vote.
Thank you.
And Councillor Taylor did not vote. You already got that? Okay. Councillors, I move that the Mayor write to the Deputy Premier of Queensland, Minister for State Development, Infrastructure and Planning, and Minister for Industrial Relation, requesting the Minister exercise ministerial call-in powers over the application. Right. Okay. Just ignore the alarm. Rightio. Well, there's a motion afoot. I yield the opening motion to Councillor Hamill.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. Happy to provide a bit more context to the mayoral minute today. So for the information of councillors, a meeting occurred at Dreamworld earlier in the week, organised by the local state MP, Mark Boothman. That meeting was attended by the Deputy Premier and Minister for Planning, Jared Blade. The meeting was discuss Dreamworld's ongoing operations and their future investment plans, but also discuss their live application that is under assessment by both the city and state at the moment. Mr. Mayor, this development application has been in the system for a couple of years now and is nearly reaching the end of the assessment period. It'd be fair to say that it's been one of those applications where there's been a lot of challenge between the city, the state and the applicant over what the impact of certain conditions may mean to Dreamworld's ongoing operations and what the impact to the surrounding area might look like. Before the previous state government left office, there were some draft conditions imposed by SARA that, as the mayoral minute points to, Dreamworld have significant and quite frankly grave concerns about what the impact of those conditions on their existing operation and future operations might look like. So the request today, which is backed up by a request from Dreamworld and a request from the local state MPs, is that the state take hold of this application and call it in, that they do reassessment of certain parts of the application, look to negotiate out the issues and the conditions in the hope that instead of the alternate path, which is that it's an appeal through the standard ADR process, which, as the mayoral minute points out, most likely would be about $1 million of cost to the city, that it removes that appeal path, it puts it back up with the state reassess it, the state impose new conditions. All those things are done in consultation with council, we're not excluded from it, but it's left with the state. They can make those final decisions. I think one of the other relevant matters that was raised, so this meeting was on Tuesday, and on Monday the state government released their 2045 tourism plan. So I think there is a real desire from this new state government to work with tourism operators. Dreamworld is the largest theme park and one of the largest inbound tourism operators on the Gold Coast. So I can see why the Deputy Premier and local state MPs would want to be backing that business. So just to be clear, this does not exclude council from any process. This is a proposed call-in. We are still part of the assessment, we're still part of the conditions, we're part of any final outcome. What it definitely does do, but, is remove what would be a lengthy and expensive appeal process for the city and puts that up on the state to deal out with the applicant. So we put it to councillors that it's not only a great outcome for Dreamworld and letting them see things reassessed, renegotiated with the state government, but it's also a great outcome for ratepayers that we won't be covering the cost of any future appeal.
Okay, Councillor Peter Young.
Doesn't, through you, perhaps to the EGM, doesn't a ministerial designation actually exclude council from the decision-making process by virtue of the fact that the minister would decide what conditions might prevail, and our evaluation would be vulnerable to the minister's overarching control and authority?
Okay,
That's
you want to answer?
thank you.
Through you, Mr Mayor, Councillor Young. Councillor Young, if I can use the latest example, we've probably gone through this process, which was the Arundel Hills. So we are involved in the process. If they did decide to call it in, they would come back to council. They may direct us to assess, decide, or subject to conditions. Normally at that time, like we did with Arundel, we did work with the state officers at that time, and we did make some ground with conditions. But until we were in that process, it's hard for me to give you a concrete answer on what that process would look like.
Thank you. Yes, I'm concerned that we wouldn't effectively be making our own decisions about whatever relevant matters and conditions have to be attended to. I'm not sure what these conditions of concern are to Dreamworld. I've got, there's no qualm from me about the importance of Dreamworld to the city's economy, but it's put to us that there's some conditions that that Dreamworld or its owners consider to be onerous. I'm not sure what they are. Can anybody please explain?
Councillor
I imagine there's some environmental or transportation matters.
So, Mr. I can give a couple of contextual examples. So just to be clear, Dreamworld's main concerns are with the SARA imposed conditions, not necessarily with the council conditions as they currently sit. An example of one of the conditions I think is the biggest concern is that at the moment, Councillor Young, Dreamworld for their tourist park facility has as of right approvals for investment into new rides. So if they want to invest in a new ride, they don't have to go through an application process or get council or state approval. They can just make that investment, meet all the requirements under Australian building regulations and get on with it. Under the new proposed conditions imposed by the state, they lose all of their as of rights process and would have to seek an impact application on pretty well everything they do inside the theme park. That's one contextual example that is of major concern to them because, as it points out, they're at $180 million in over the last 5 years. They've got similar amounts of money they plan to invest over the next 5 years, and they didn't foresee having to go through an impact DA for having to put a new ride in or upgrading a boardwalk along the edge of the environmental buffer area is one of the examples. That's, I would say, in amongst many other ones, the one of biggest concern is that for their investment pipeline, they didn't see losing as of right things they've had for 20 years now, I believe.
So if I can follow up and clarify, Mr Mayor. Thank you, Councillor. So you're saying that under the state's imposed conditions, should they prevail, rather than council's conditions, because we haven't made any determination, under those new conditions, Dreamworld would be required to submit an impact assessment for any ride that it wants to progress or any other development within its lands.
Yeah. So, Mr Mayor, that example is very much contextual to the existing tourism park site. There are other things that part of the prelim application, so activation along the highway frontage, activation of lands that is more towards Foxwell Road. They would have to go through DA and have assessment either way. That contextual example is very much about the existing tourist facility that at the moment, like they're about to spend 15 million or are spending 15 million on the new chloride. They were able to do that without any council estate approvals because it's got previous approvals in place. Under the proposed new conditions imposed by state, they would have to have gone through a full impact development application to be able to build that ride.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, Councillor Gates.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have not really been privy to this application to any large extent. I've had only 2 meetings and both were requested by me. Both were attended by council officers and notes were kept because of my previous declaration of a conflict. But I'm not aware of any council draft conditions having been issued. So through you, can I ask the EGM, have those draft conditions been provided to the applicant at this point in time?
There's no EGM around.
Oh well, the acting CEO, sorry.
Director?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, Councillor Gates, we haven't issued our draft conditions yet to the applicant. Officers have obviously been working closely with the applicant and with the SAR response. So the SAR response is the one that was issued in February.
So, Mr. Mayor, your mayoral minute indicates that the council's conditions are unworkable, and I just make the point that they've not yet been issued, and so I'm not quite sure how they're considered onerous restrictions. I also need the council to be aware of my incredible support for Dreamworld, and I want to see them get a fast approval too. And so do the officers. They have worked tirelessly on this. There are 2 remaining issues, and so I ask a question because it's question time. There's only 2 remaining issues. I understand the officers are working up a preliminary approval at this very point in time. So, but the 2 remaining issues and why a development permit hasn't been issued is because there is no identified water and sewer supply to some of the subdivided or the subdivision application, and there's no transport access. So I need to know from the officers how the state could progress those issues more quickly than perhaps our experienced council officers, because they are the only 2 remaining stumbling blocks as far as I'm aware.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, Councillor Gates. So my understanding, and Mick would probably be better at our General Manager of City Development, I'll try and answer it before Mick comes out here, is there's outstanding issues for the public road access and for the water and sewerage, and it relates to Lot 3. In terms of how the state would deal with it, they obviously have powers if they decide to call it in. Our officers have advised the applicant currently that we could issue a preliminary approval for that. My understanding is they want a development permit. So unless there's anything extra you want to add there, fine. Thank you, Mick.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I don't really have much to add to what Ms. Swain just said, but that is the last sort of remaining issue. So officers are working to resolve the application. We can't give them a development permit for that lot at this point in time, but we would be recommending a preliminary approval for that lot.
Councillor Hamill?
I think we need context there. That's the last remaining issues for officers. It's definitely not the last remaining issues for Dreamworld. There is dozens of the conditions that SARA have put down. And just to Councillor Gates' point about the mayoral minute, SARA conditions we have no choice but to reflect. So the mayoral minute is worded to reflect the fact that if there's a SARA condition saying X, our conditions will have to say the same. So in fact, their issue would be with both sets of conditions.
All right. Councillor Doran.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the Director, I was curious as to where this is at in its process. You just stepped through a lot of detail there with Councillor Gates, but is it coming, before this was proposed, was it proposed to come to a planning committee meeting any time in the future?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, Councillor Doran. The decision is due on the 31st of July 25, so we went into decision once we received the SARA response in February. It would come to a future planning and regulation committee after that point in time. So we don't have a date on the forward schedule that it was coming, but I would say it would be around the July, August, September, depending on how items were resolved.
Oh, one more follow-up. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just, I too I acknowledge Councillor Hamill's comments around the SARA conditions being city conditions, but I did feel that this made me think that we'd provided conditions. But My question is about the process, Mr. Young. I don't know the answer to this one, but when we send it back to the state, they're going to, because the large issue is that the SARA conditions, which is the state conditions, the applicant's not happy with. And this might be a very naive question. Can't the state government deal with that without the call-in powers? It's a new state government conditions. And again, that's probably a very easy question to answer, but we're reflecting a process here because of a state condition, sending it back to the state.
Mick?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, Councillor Doran, there are avenues that the applicant could deal with those conditions directly with the state department. So similar to council having a negotiated decision notice, there is an ability for the applicant to approach the state. They could do that now if they wanted to.
Okay. Councillor O'Neill.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just through you to the EGM, just the process about calling in, and I note that the Deputy Premier was at that meeting. Do we actually have to make application through the council for the state to call in, or could they just come in and do it themselves? I'm just wondering what the response was from the state government at that meeting. I know they talked about the local member, but just wondering about the process. Thanks.
No, I think the Premier can call it in himself, but the previous call-in's always been request of the council. Like first call-in that I asked the then Deputy Premier was a dual development, and that worked well. Otherwise, it would have been delayed quite some time. And so from there, I learnt that I asked the Deputy Premier, Jeff Senior. Then I said, "You can just call it in, can't you?" He said, "But it's rude. I'd like a letter from the council." Okay. Councillor Patterson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm just curious, given the timing that's been presented by our EGM of planning, why don't we just go through the planning process in the next month or two? It's not,
yeah. And
then if the state can look at that planning committee consideration, look at the hiccups with that, and then they can make a decision on whether they'd call it in. I'm just wondering why now. Thank you.
Councillor Hammer.
Mr. Mayor, because once a decision of council is made, the probably real only avenue is through the appeal process. The Deputy Premier made it very clear that his preference would be, and the state's preference would be, that if it's going to be called in, you do that before the final decision, because then it doesn't trigger the appeal process. So for the main contextual reason listed that there's going to be an appeal on these conditions no matter what, it can either be through the normal process that we're familiar with, where it comes through ADR and drags on for a couple of years and costs $1 million, or the state can call it in now, have the same conditions appeal, but it's on them for them to deal with, and they wear the cost, is probably the differential.
Yeah. Councillor Fowler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you. As luck would have it, yesterday I do talk to the member of Theodore daily, because we do have a shared community, and the member for Theodore, Mark Boothman, actually briefed me on this matter and this meeting in detail right before the mayoral minute actually did come out. And I did call the member for Theodore back, Mr. Boothman, and I said, what did the Deputy Premier say in that meeting? And he said 3 times the Deputy Premier stated in that meeting that we would not be supporting a call-in without the support for the member for Theodore, the member for Coomera, and the local councillor, Councillor Gates. And I said to Mr. Boothman, would you mind if I shared that with council today? He said, absolutely, because it is the facts. So I guess my question through you to Councillor Gates is, does she support this call-in? Because the understanding I have is that the Deputy Premier would be considering it without those 3 levels of government endorsement.
Councillor Gates.
That's really awkward. Because I want to support Dreamworld, but I don't support the call-in at this point in time, knowing that the state can call it in at any time. It doesn't matter whether it's come to us or not. They can call it in, and I know that this is fact. It can be called in after our decision. It can be called in before our decision. The fact is,
but the comment there that they won't call it in if we're saying no.
no, that's correct. The member for Theodore also phoned me to reassure me last night, Mr. Mayor, that there is absolutely no intent. The Premier did indicate at that meeting that he would accept a call in if it was the will of this council. And once there had been consultation with myself as the divisional councillor, he said he wasn't going to be run over by a bus by doing this without any conversations with me. We haven't even assessed or seen the bulk of this development application. So I have a problem with a call-in at this point in time. I don't have a problem with a call-in if we can't successfully resolve this quickly, but we haven't had that opportunity because I understand that the background to the development application was so complex that our officers have worked absolutely tirelessly in order to get to a point where they can offer a preliminary approval. And I want to say well done to our officers for the work that they did to get to this point. It was a lot. And I feel like this is kind of a slap in the face for our officers, to be perfectly honest, to suggest a call-in when they're at this point in time writing the report to council to support a preliminary approval, but knowing that those issues, in my understanding, we've never issued an approval where water and sewer supply has not been guaranteed, ever in the history of the council. And someone said to me, that's the first thing you learn on day one of planning school, that water and sewer is number one. And so these are not little red tape issues that we're holding up the process with. These are issues that need to be resolved, and I put my greatest trust in our experienced councillors to get us to the point where we can resolve the two remaining issues more quickly than sending it up to the state. And I don't believe, I mean, it's irrelevant because the Deputy Premier has indicated that he won't do a call-in until there's been consultation. So if that's the will of the council today to go that way, that's the will of the council. It's not my preferred outcome. I would rather work with the officers and work with Dreamworld. I've been reluctant to be too involved, Mr. Mayor, because of my history, but I have had only 2 briefings, both at my request, one with the officers so that I could be aware of the application. I've never met with the applicants' consultants on it, other than at the second meeting I requested, where I wanted to help our officers get across the things that needed resolution, because it seemed no one was listening to the 2 major stumbling blocks. And we've got that congested intersection where transport issues for the largest and fastest growing population in our city, they need to be resolved, and a road access has to be provided. So I'm sorry to go on at such length over why I don't want to see this called in at this point in time. I think it would be disrespectful to our officers after all the work that they've done. When they're that close to getting the report to council, I think it's disrespectful to the rest of the councillors not to have the opportunity to have a look at this. We all love Dreamworld and we all want them to be able to continue to develop, but we don't want to provide a code-accessible carte blanche across all of the new land that's proposed, because it's not the right thing to do. In just adding a little bit of context for the council also, Dreamworld, I go back to 2008 with these applications, and through the sale, Macquarie selling it, from the Longhurst family, all the way through the development of various planning assessment tools that were to be used for the Coomera Town Centre, through the appeal when Macquarie wanted to develop before Westfield. I have a lot of background information on this, and I do know that Dreamworld at one stage sold off their commercial interests to QIC and Keylin, and to give them now code-accessible rights across the whole precinct would actually jeopardise the existing Coomera Town Centre and the Keylin development. And I think we'd have bigger court costs, to be perfectly honest, if we just throw away our involvement and don't take into consideration the other impacts that our decision today might have. So I want to be clear, I want to support Dreamworld, but I think the best mechanism for supporting Dreamworld is to have our officers finish the job, allow us to assess and approve a preliminary approval, and then hopefully that will encourage the applicants' consultants to actually deliver for us certainty about water, sewer, and the landlocked parcel of land.
Okay. Councillor Hamill to close.
Mr. Mayor, since Councillor Fowler raised it, her recollection of that part of the conversation with Ms. Boothman is accurate, but she's missed out a few contextual parts. So I then said, you can get a letter of support from the Divisional Councillor, and Councillor Gates is fine. Deputy Premier, would you like a mayoral minute as a resolution of council additional to that? So the two are not the same. Councillor Gates is welcome as Divisional Councillor to write a letter to the Deputy Premier either way. It was my offer to put it to council through a mayoral minute, so it was a resolution of council to call it up. Second, this doesn't automatically lock in a call-in. There's a process to call-ins. It's a proposal to call in. The proposal, the first step is that council would have another opportunity to put a submission forward if they support it or if are against, and any other party could put a submission forward. So doing this today does not automatically lock in a call-in from the state. The Deputy Premier may go to step one. He may get submissions from the public or from other entities or from individual councillors and say, I'm not going to call it in, let it keep going through the process. So there's no great risk in that because it's not automatically guaranteed. Again, I come back to the final point of this, of where this is coming from, is I appreciate Councillor Gates' want to help Dreamworld. I think we all do. I can agree with that. If that's the case, the best way to do that is let Dreamworld deal with the authority who has all the power in this space and the conditions that are costing them the most concern, and that's with state and with SARA. This is a request from the local state MP of the government of the day and from the Deputy Premier to consider this. Like, this hasn't been done lightly. It's not coming from anywhere. It's a request from the state for them to be allowed to consider it. So I would finish by saying I respect everything that's been said, but this hasn't come out of thin air. It has been driven by the government of the day. It's been driven on the back of their 2045 tourism opportunity. We would still be part of the process as Ms Swain directed. Just because something's called in doesn't cut council out. We are still part of the process, and in resetting the relationship with local governments, the Deputy Premier made that clear the other day that he's not looking to ride over the top of councils, but if he can use his powers, his legislation and his officers to more effectively sort through things quicker, which is that will be what it does. Because if this goes through the normal appeal process, it will be years, and it will be $1 million plus on ratepayers, versus the exact same conditions we're talking about can be put up to state now, left with the Deputy Premier's department and SARA, and we're off the hook for the costs, but still at the table to negotiate those outcomes like road upgrades, because that is what Mr Boothman and Mr Crandon's main concern is how can we get road upgrades out of this? They're all for it. I would really recommend to councillors to endorse the recommendation here today with the genuine belief it is in the best interest of the city to do so.
Okay, councillor, debate's closed. I'll put the motion to you. Division's call. All in favour, show of hands.
Mayor Tate, Councillor Curtis, Councillor Hamill, Councillor Wilkinson, Councillor Tozer, Councillor Marshall and Councillor O'Neill.
Against?
Councillor Young, Councillor Fowler, Councillor Gates, Councillor Patterson, Councillor Martin, Councillor Lacastra, Councillor Duran.
My casting votes to the affirmative. Motion carried. Next item is confirmation of minutes. Someone like to move?
I'll just note it as well.
Move Councillor Tozer accepting the minutes. Seconder, Councillor Tate. All in favour, show of hands. Against? Motion carried. Oh, let's get Taylor back in. Councillor Taylor. But we'll still accept that we received the motion. Councillor Taylor, we've already moved the motion to receive the minutes, and you weren't in the room, so I thought let you know. If you want me to take that vote again, I'm happy to, or we just go to the next stage. Fine. Any corrections, councillors? Someone like to move adoption of the minutes? Councillor Tozer, seconder, Councillor Tate. All in favour, show of hands. Against, motion carried. Right. Mayor's report. Councillors, 14th of May, I caught up with Starlux Airline Chief Strategy Officer Simon Liu in Taiwan, alongside with Adam Rowe from Queensland's airport. Starlux is a Taipei-based full-service carrier flying to Asia, North America and parts of Europe, and is considering Australian routes, and including the Gold Coast, Sydney and Melbourne. So our strong ties with the TIQ office in Taiwan will support the efforts to attract Taiwanese company to the Gold Coast. Next one is Australian office, Taipei, and met with Daniel Stewart, acting head of post, who provided a market overview and valuable insight into the current business and political environment in Taiwan. Intelligene. Gene Company, a Queensland biotech startup, is partnering with its Taiwanese counterpart, Intelligene. The company has, in principle, approval for a state-of-the-art R&D and manufacturing facility in the Gold Coast Health and Knowledge Precinct at Lumina. It was a pleasure to meet with founder Tom Lin and his team. Caught up with him again, and he gave me the heads up on the progress, phase 1 clinical trials, and it was successful. And along with this, he will establish the facility here at Health and Knowledge Precinct. It's going to be a world-changing thing. I'll give you one example that they were explaining to me. Let's say all our skins are aging, right? But they go down at the genome level and turn off the gene that ages. Stop.
Getting what Bob already has.
That's exactly
basically right.
He looks like a child. We want to do that, so we want to be Bob. So they turn that off, and they've got their cells and everything, and inject that in. That cell becomes infused into your body, and it hasn't got the capability of aging anymore.
No, like Bob.
And then you end up looking like Bob, right? So my point is here, though, with that kind of platform, they can look at turning other genes off. So very quickly, they can come up with various cures very quickly. Huh? What?
Turn off my interrupting.
Okay. So the thing is, I won't get into business detail. They're young, company and all that, but don't be fooled. They're multi-billion-dollar company, and they're going to they will come to the Gold Coast. Yes. And then I caught up with Mayor of Tainan, who's also our sister city, Mr. Huang Wenqi, and been our sister city since 1982. The synergy between our two cities are in tourism, education, medical innovation, climate resilient along our coastlines. Then on the 15th of May, went back to Taipei, caught up with the Deputy Mayor, Mr. Chang Weng Ti, and and his colleagues, and this was an opportunity to talk about World Masters game, the Gold Coast involvement in Brisbane 2032, and what Olympics and Paralympics and what it takes for Sydney to host major sporting events. The World Masters had 26,000 participants, biggest multi-sport participation in the world. So it was quite interesting. Then the International City Forum, I was asked to speak there, focusing on innovation solution for healthier living. Then caught up with the mayor of Taipei, and was delighted to meet with him the second time, Mayor Chang Wan-an. And this meeting was, of course, friendly and relaxed, and we talked about the long-standing sister city relationship and with my involvement. And the year before, I said that I was in the Asia Pacific Masters game, and of course they said, "Oh, we got the World Masters game." Then, of course, I had to go, "Oh, well, I'd love to participate," but thinking that I'll just do powerlifting. But they didn't have powerlifting, so I picked rugby instead. Anyway, the Far Glory Group is a Taiwan-based company that began 50 years ago and has diversified into 8 business groups. Their primary operations are based in Taiwan, and the group is considering moving into other markets, Australia's being an attractive proposition. Of course, when we say Australia, we mean Gold Coast. Breeze Group, caught up with Henry again, Henry Lau, and Henry developed Breeze chain of shopping centres since 2001. Has investments, interests in shopping centres and hotel, and strong ties here on the Gold Coast. His daughter goes to Bonn, and so he's looking to invest further. World Masters Games. Yes, I was invited at the opening ceremony, and that's Mayor Chang up the front there, opening it. 35 sports featured in this year, 25,000 athletes, 137 countries. And yes, I did race up my boots to play. We went, and the team I played for was Mossman Wales in Sydney, because I went to Mossman Prep, and so I went back there, and we won that game. I said to them I want to be on the bench, but nah, they got me there, start up, playing number 9, and don't recommend to do it again. They're over 50, as you can see, young men over 50. I'm 66. 16 years ahead, it's just not worth it, but it was good. Mayor, you can see Mayor Cheng there in the middle, and it was wonderful. I tell you this, my teammates didn't know. They just think, oh, Tom's in there, is playing halfback, whatever. And by the time Mayor Cheng turned up, the media scrum was huge. The crowd was huge. This is the first game, and then they asked me to come out and speak, and some of the players are going, "What's going on?" And anyway, and I just said, "Oh no, they're very friendly here." So no, it's good. And that's the Taiwan retired ex-army team, very disciplined. Had to run them around a bit. Anyhow, last bit. So the team went on. I had to come back because we had the International Olympic Committee meetings here, but they went on and took out the gold. So anyhow, all good. Councillor Hammer, while I'm away, 14th of May.
Mr. Mayor, while you were away, it was my pleasure to open the Gold Coast Careers Festival. It's the largest careers event and one of the biggest in Queensland. It was held at the Gold Coast Sports and Leisure Centre again this year, delivered by EGC. really pleased to say that we had a significant crowd come through of well over 4,000 students over the days and a good attendance in our first nighttime program as well. Thanks to EGC for putting on a wonderful event. The expansion this year and the new parts added to it were really well received. And I know John and the whole team are really excited about what next year's event looks like. Mr. Mayor, also on the 14th of May, it was my pleasure to open the Australian Interschool Surfing Championships. Mr. Mayor, on the back of EGC securing WSL back to the city was also bringing the Interschool Championships to the city. That there's no point bringing the championship tour if we're also not securing the grassroots of the sport, and this is the grassroots of that sport. So a couple hundred school students from right across the country. We had students here from as far as Margaret River in Western Australia come over for this surfing event. A brilliant opportunity for the next generation of World League surfers, not just to meet some of the mentors, but there's a big focus on exposing especially some of the older teenagers to, hey, you know, if you do get a sponsorship deal, how do you use the money? What kind of study program do you do where you're trying to do balance out with professional sports? So a really, really worthwhile event. Fantastic to see that next generation in the city. Mr. Mayor, it was then my pleasure on May 19th to open the Australian Super Yacht Conference. It was my pleasure to welcome delegates to the 14th annual ASMEC conference held at the Langham. It was the lead up to the Sanctuary Cove International Boat Show this year, and ASMEC brings together industry leaders to discuss innovation, export growth, and the future of Australia's marine sector. I enjoyed a lot of conversations afterwards with a lot of people in this sector looking at advanced manufacturing opportunities and looking at bringing technology and ideas they're seeing in other places in the world and bringing it here, because they see it as the logical location in the Southern Hemisphere to base it out at our Coomera Marine Precinct and our Southport Yacht Club. Mr. Mayor, this industry is worth $1.2 billion to the city and to our regional economy. It is absolutely massive, and it was a pleasure to be there to support it. Mr. Mayor, the next one was on Tuesday, 20th of May, which is the Salvation Army Red Shield Appeal, and at your indulgence, I'd pass over to Councillor Tozer for this one.
Is that okay, Mr. Mayor? Thank you, Deputy Mayor. It was actually a really wonderful day, and a bunch of our colleagues, councillors came out as well, along with about 250 members of the local business community and school community. This year, the Salvos are working really hard to lift their appeal total from last year, and I'm pleased to announce that we did that quite well. We've kind of hit that 355 mark, and we're heading towards 370. We're still waiting on a few of the last commitments that Councillor Hamill rallied the Northern Gold Coast businesses together, and he made a commitment on the day of $120,000 contributed from Northern Gold Coast into the broader Salvos Red Shield Appeal work, and that's really good. This year, the Salvos will be working really hard on that homelessness issue we're facing in our city right now, and working really also hard amongst women escaping domestic violence circumstances and leveraging their centre at Still Waters to help people. The Salvos really are amazing humans who do great work in our city, and I just thank all the councillors who joined me that morning and contributed generously to the cause. And if you haven't yet given for the Red Shield Appeal, tax-deductible donations can be made before June 30.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I think we should also acknowledge that Councillor Tozer did a brilliant job as MC in his efforts to bringing that event together. So congratulations to him, and it's wonderful here. We broke the record, and I'm happy to have some pressure applied to break it again next year.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, that then took us to the evening, which was the Bleach program launch for 2025. I was pleased to be joined by Councillor Gates, Wilkinson, LaCastra, Fowler and O'Neill, who attended the Hodder Gallery. My absolute pleasure to launch the 2025 Bleach program. From July 31st to 10th of August, Bleach will deliver 100 events citywide, including worldwide premieres, bold performances and unexpected artistic experiences. Mr. Mayor, why this year's Bleach launch was so special was that not just the fact that it was a brilliant crowd in the room and there was a fantastic energy, but it's also a reset for Bleach. EGC have taken Bleach on and have looked to reset the base of Bleach to make sure that it is broad appealing and that it has a focus on offering something for everybody right across the Gold Coast. And I think when councillors start to get invites and see the opportunities of how broad the program is, it really does deliver on that idea of providing an arts and culture experience for every Gold Coaster and every family. Mr. Mayor, the final one for me was on Thursday, 22nd of May. It was an honour to represent representatives of Chengdu government delegation. I enjoyed a really productive meeting with them beforehand for a casual lunch up at Hodder. Fair to say that they were blown away by the view and the blue skies from the top of our Arts and Culture Centre. Chengdu have been an important sister city for us for 2019. I'm told they are one of our most proactive sister cities as well, and that was very evident through the conversation that they could list off a series of deals and negotiations and opportunities that we've provided to each other. I'm very pleased to say that the next raft of ideas and opportunities they have are fantastic and quite significant, especially in the cross-training in our study sector. That will provide some brilliant opportunities for our students to spend time in their city, but also for more of their students to spend time in our city. So a pleasure to host them here, and I look forward to the opportunity for the opposite opportunity to be back over with them in the not-too-distant future, Mr Mayor.
Yeah, thank you. So, Councillor, I returned back in time for the Brisbane 2032 IOC Coordination Commission, and I was honoured to join the function there. We had in Brisbane, we had address from IOC President Thomas Bach, and also IOC President-elect Christy Coventry, incredible lady, and then caught up with newly appointed Coordination Commission Chair. That was the position that Christy had before, and now it's handed over to Michaela Jaworski. So across the 3 days, IOC tour our key venues, both in Brisbane and the Gold Coast, including our BMX Freestyle Park, Gold Coast Sports and Leisure Centre, which the IOC praise as a blueprint for legacy outcomes. And we also had a chance for a quick beach visit in Corowa, and with strategy session in Suncorp Stadium, Howard Smith Wharf. The visit highlighted the strong partnership between all levels of government. With just 2,600 days to go, our journey to Brisbane 2032 is well on the way, and the excitement is building. Australia Friendship Day Multicultural Festival. Councillor Patterson and Councillor Wilkinson was in attendance. I gave the official welcome at the first Friendship Day celebration, and hosted the Gold Coast Filipino Australian Performing Arts Ensemble. Congratulations to the ensemble of a wonderful event, which will now hopefully become a regular festival in our city's events calendar. Then whipped down to the Wildlife Awareness Campaign on Monday. I launched the city's campaign at Currumbin Wildlife Hospital to highlight the dangers native animals face during breeding season. Then the State of the City report. I think most of you were there. Councillor Hamill, Flower, Gates, Curtis, Patterson, Wilkinson, Tozer, Doran, Marshall, Martin, O'Neill. I miss anyone? All in attendance. Hundreds of business leaders gathered for the launch, prepared by Deloitte and led by Invest Gold Coast, Brand Gold Coast as well. The report confirms our cities continue rise as Australia's largest regional economy, now valued at $49 billion. Then on Tuesday, International Academy of Mediators Conference. I delivered a welcomes address at Sheraton Grand Mirage, Main Beach. This marked the first time the conference has been held in Australia in its 29-year history. Then we had the Gold Coast Business Excellence Award last night. I'm pleased to welcome, I was happy to welcome guests, and that was on the 27th of May. Beg your pardon, I got mixed up with the other award. This year marks 30th anniversary. Councillor Gates and Wilkinson was there, and I presented the Mayor's Innovation Award to Stephen and Emily Panisi, owners of Centre of Movement at Burleigh-based service that support children with disabilities through intensive therapy programs. So congratulations to all winners. LGAQ Queensland Disaster Management Conference. I was honoured to represent the city at the Brisbane Convention and Exhibition Centre with the focus on collaboration, capability and local leadership. The three-day conference brought together disaster and emergency management professionals from across the state to strengthen Queensland preparedness for the future. As part of the panel titled Lessons from Eye of the Storm, Disaster Leadership, I joined representatives from QPS and fellow mayors to share insight from our city's recent disasters response and recovery efforts. And then on Wednesday, Gold Coast Health and Knowledge Precinct, it was a great pleasure to go there. I toured the Proxima building with Dr. Thomas Huang, who shared exciting developments in Alzheimer treatment using newly approved TGA drugs and world-leading AI-driven MRI and PET scan technology. Then on Tuesday, the 3rd of June, I officially opened the 9th Q Coast 2100 Knowledge and Information Sharing Forum held at Mantra Legends Hotel. This event brings together local government experts and policymakers to collaborate on coastal hazard adaptation and resilience. Then on Wednesday, the 4th, Coast to Coast Conference. I was honoured to open the 2025 Joint National Coast to Coast and Queensland Coastal Conference at Mantra with over 180 expert policymakers and community leaders in attendance. The conference focused on collaboration, innovation to build coastal resilience. Then Thursday, on the 5th, caught up with Chief Lifeguard Chris Maynard and thanked him for ongoing service he did for us. 42 years, 5 of us as Chief Lifeguard. And he's got a caravan, he's going to travel for a while, but he'll end up back to the Gold Coast. Brisbane 2032 Community Roadshow visit. I was proud to welcome President Andrew Liveris again, Board Directors, Rebecca Fassell, Olympian Jackson Collins and Paralympian Henny Watson. We met with students from the Southport School and St Hilda's to talk all things about 2032. And the visit was end with a big war cry from the boys. And then last night, the Gold Coast Australian of the Year Awards, Councillors Flower, Curtis, Wilkinson, Lacastra, Tozer, Doran, Marshall, Martin, O'Neill attended Q1, and Councillor Hamill, you were there, and anyone else? All good. This event shine a light on our local heroes who inspired and lead and strengthen our community across the range of fields. Congratulations to the award winners, Dr. Robin Cameron for Gold Coast Australian of the Year, Ian Gay, Gold Coast Local Hero of the Year, Wayne Stitcher, Gold Coast Senior Australia of the Year, and Madeline McTernan, Gold Coast Young Australian of the Year. Councillors, I move the Mayor report be welcome and noted. Second, Councillor Hamill. All in favour, show of hands. Against, motion carry, unanimous. Councillors, we move to the next item. Clarification of members. I think it's nil. No clarification. Good. Business arising from the minutes. Nil. We go to item 9, presentation. I go to Councillor Tozer first.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm very proud to announce the City of Gold Coast has been recognised with 2 award wins in the recently announced Environmental Health Australia Queensland Environmental Health Excellence Awards. That's quite a mouthful. But without further ado, let's get into it. The Environmental Health Professional of the Year for 2025 was our first award win, and it was for Environmental Health Professional of the Year. It was awarded to Lauren Murray, who leads our Environmental Health Policy team. I think Lauren might be here somewhere. but I'll keep reading. While she comes in, I'll just keep reading. Lauren has been recognised for her work in responding to Queensland's health decision to identify cosmetic injectables and some other cosmetic services as high-risk personal appearance services. The decision requires additional education, licensing and compliance activities from local governments. Lauren not only led the city's policy response, but also proactively engaged with South East Queensland working groups to share information. Her approach reduced duplication and helped to implement a consistent approach and understanding across South East Queensland. Congratulations, Lauren. It's great. Yeah, you're great. And while we've got you at the front there, Mr. Mayor, our second award win was for Environmental Health Team of the Year 2025. The city's award-winning environmental health team encompasses around 70 officers working across policy, approvals, support and compliance activities. These are critical teams working behind the scenes to protect our community. Their work encompasses food safety, recreational water quality, public health risks, environmental nuisance and much more. We have some nominated representatives from the team to accept the award. Congratulations to all the officers involved. Well done, Joe.
Stand up on the back.
Do we do it again? Yep, go on.
Holy shit. One step makes a big difference. She moved about that far.
Done, team.
Oh, it's entirely appropriate for the next round of awards.
Tourist parks.
Exactly right. Mr. Mayor, for the fifth consecutive year, Gold Coast Tourist Parks have been recognised for their exceptional work at the 2025 Caravan Parks Association of Queensland Annual Industry Awards dinner, held on Monday, the 12th of May, 2025. The first winner, I've got a few here, and so Councillor O'Neill's exceptional kind of loud music is entirely appropriate for them. The first is the People's Choice Award, the Caravan Industry Association of Australia National Award for 2025, and the winner is Ocean Beach Tourist Park. This People's Choice Award recognises parks on the Review Pro Global Review Index, an online reputation score from major travel agencies and review sites. It celebrates great visitor experiences, exceptional customer service, and consistently exceeding guest expectations. And so why Ocean Beach Tourist Park won this national award? After winning silver in 2024, they've lifted it to another level. The Ocean Beach Tourist Park go one better, winning gold in 2025 and securing the #1 spot across the nation for their unwavering level of guest personal service, which is evident by the continued high reviews and guest sentiment, and why guests keep coming back year on year to enjoy this boutique beachfront tourist park. The officers receiving the awards today are Rebecca Morgan and Peter Wilson, park managers, Amanda Clark and Gary Baldwin. Where's Ocean Beach? Is that you?
That's me.
Get out there. Get out there, Councillor Marshall. You're the representative. Get in there.
Hey, Director.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Get this work, Glenn.
Sorry, mate. Here we go. Which one first? Over here.
This one. Thank you. Another one that way.
No, somebody else got it. Shout out. Well, staycations, Councillor Marshall. Staycations as a army. Our second award, Mr. Mayor, is Outstanding Host for the CPAQ Awards. And the winner is Broadwater Tourist Park. And we also have a highly commended for Tallabudgera Creek Tourist Park. The reason why Broadwater Tourist Park won this award, at Broadwater Tourist Park, exceptional guest service isn't just a goal, it's our way of life. A great holiday is more than just facilities or location. It's about making guests feel welcomed, valued and part of our community. This philosophy is embedded in our culture through our core values of respect, compassion, trust and teamwork, shaping every interaction and decision we make. Despite no Wi-Fi, goodness gracious. What do people do on their holidays? And ongoing construction noise, guests continue to rate us among the highest, proving service excellence outweighs obstacles. Our TripAdvisor was 4.6 out of 5. Google reviews 4.5 out of 5. Guests frequently leave thank you cards, wine. That's good. Handwritten notes and which prove genuine connections that drive loyalty. The officers receiving the award from Broadwater Tourist Park are Kim and Paul Turner. And I think that's it. Broadwater Tourist Park, that's you, Councillor Patterson. Let's get into it.
Thank you.
Now, it's not just about that gold medal, but it's the highly commended as well. Tallabudgera Creek Tourist Park received a highly commended acknowledgement, and just the reason why they got theirs. As one of Queensland's busiest parks, Tallabudgera Creek Tourist Park thrives on energy and activity. But amidst the hustle, we've cultivated a culture that encourages staff to pause, soak in the joy and celebrate the wins, creating a balanced, positive environment for both guests and team members. Over the past 18 months, they've undertaken major infrastructure upgrades across all 385 sites. That's pretty cool. Electrical, water, sullage. These critical improvements brought significant challenges, relocating guests, managing disruptions, adjusting bookings, and in rare cases, cancelling holidays, sadly. We tackled this head-on with proactive, transparent communication, informing guests of potential noise, visual impacts and service interruptions. Despite their best efforts, some experiences were impacted. Their team's resilience and empathy truly shone through, though. Staff were empowered to de-escalate concerns, find timely solutions and leave guests feeling heard and valued. Whilst it's been a challenging period, it highlighted the strength of their service-first culture. The way their team adapted, supported each other and stayed committed to exceptional guest experiences has not only strengthened internal morale, but also deepened their connection with returning guests and the broader community. And the officer receiving the award is Adrian Easdown, the park contractor. Adrian, well done.
Older or younger?
Younger. Younger for sure. The next award, Mr. Mayor, is the Tidy Park CPAQ Award, and the winner is Kirra Beach Tourist Park. All right. A clean, well-maintained park isn't just a nice touch, it's a game changer for guest experience. The Tidy Park Award recognises parks that take pride in their presentation, ensuring spotless facilities, well-kept grounds and consistently high standards and a welcoming atmosphere every day. Why Kirra Beach won the Tidy Park Award? At Kirra Beach Tourist Park, cleanliness is part of who we are. We believe first impressions shape the entire guest experience, and maintaining a pristine environment shows guests they are valued. They've built a culture where every team member takes ownership. If something isn't perfect, they fix it immediately. Cleanliness is embedded into daily routines with staff supporting and pre-checking each other's work to maintain high standards. Training reinforces this mindset from day one. New staff are introduced to our cleanliness values during onboarding. Regular team refreshers keep standards sharp. They also having introduced QR code reporting, a QR code reporting system in their facilities, allowing staff to instantly log and track issues, ensuring prompt responses and continuous improvement. Celebrating success is a key to motivation. Providing positive guest feedback and outstanding reviews are shared during team meetings, highlighting the direct link between our work and guest satisfaction. Cleanliness is not just about appearance, it's about creating a welcoming, safe and memorable environment, and it's our way of showing guests that every detail matters. And I'll just introduce you to the officers receiving the award, Simon and Joe Lukens, who are park managers, and Adrian Easdown, who has already been up here before, but has come back.
No.
Did you get the place right?
I went too early.
Just a photo. Oh, jeez. Look at this. Photo.
I like Kira.
You're another one. There's a coup. Watching Gail is trying to say Kira. There might be more.
Well done.
Alrighty, Mr. Mayor, there's only a few more to go. It's been we really swoop the pool here. It's very, very good. Number 4 is the Good Corporate Citizen CPAQ Award 2025, and the winner is Burleigh Beach Tourist Park. That's it. Big round of applause. Caravan parks are more than just places to stay. They are part of the fabric of the local community. The Good Corporate Citizen Award recognises parks that go above and beyond to make a real difference, whether through financial support, community events or ongoing local initiatives. At Burleigh Beach Tourist Park, inclusiveness is integral to their core values and business goals. Since the Queensland Government's 2023 initiative, the Year of Accessible Tourism in Queensland, we've increased our efforts in accessibility and inclusivity. We're also committed to contributing to state towards Tourism 2032 and national Thrive 2030 accessibility strategies, and have embraced the federal government's Welcome Framework. As part of our commitment to inclusiveness, we've invested in upgrades to our accessible cabin and the purchase of Sand Cruiser Beach wheelchair for our guests' personal use. In addition to equipment and infrastructure upgrades to support accessibility, we've aimed to offer a beachside holiday to individuals who would benefit from the experience. We've partnered with Spinal Life Australia and the Xavier Children's Network to offer free beachside holidays to each of their clients. By ensuring our holiday experiences are accessible to all guests, we have broadened our service range, catering to a diverse clientele and maintaining high satisfaction levels. And today I'll introduce you to Donna Reynolds from Burleigh Beach Tourist Park, who's going to receive the award on their behalf. You're back for this one.
You sure it's yours, Josh?
Wasn't he talking about rebounding? Will that talk about rebounding? Yes.
All right, we're down to the last few, Mr. Mayor. The winner of Employee of the Year at the CPAQ Award for 2025 is Victoria Torti from Broadwater Tourist Park. Every park has that one team member who makes all the difference. The person who goes the extra mile, takes pride in their work, brings a little extra magic to the guest experience. The Employee of the Year Award is all about recognising the hardworking, dedicated individuals who keep our parks running smoothly. Why Vicky won? Vicky is the longest serving member of the team at Broadwater Tourist Park, with nearly 15 years of dedicated service. She began her journey in 2011 as a receptionist and is now one of the Broadwater Tourist Park duty managers. Vicky's commitment has helped shape the guest experience, strengthened the team, and contributed significantly to the park's reputation and success. And the officers receiving the award on behalf of Victoria today are Kim and Paul Turner, who are the bosses over there. Alrighty. Mr. Mayor, our final award at the CPAQs this year was the Young Achiever of the Year award, and the winner is Matthew McDonald, also from Broadwater Tourist Park. The Simon Warner Memorial Young Achiever of the Year award shines a spotlight on the industry's rising stars of the industry, those under 30 who bring passion, innovation, and dedication to their role. Why did Matt win? At 24 years of age, Matt is excelling as a park manager at Broadwater Tourist Park, prioritising safety, fairness and support, advocating for staff needs and leading by example. Never asked his team to do anything he wouldn't do himself, whether it's unclogging toilets, helping clean a cabin left unsatisfactory, or tasks too disgusting to mention. His leadership style fosters trust, teamwork, a strong sense of belonging, making him an integral part of the Broadwater Tourist Park team. And I'll invite Kim and Paul back, who are the park contractors at Broadwater Tourist Park, to accept the award on Matt's behalf. I think it's also Matt's day off, is that right?
No, he's going the way to London.
He's on holiday. Here you go.
Yeah.
He's doing some well-deserved competitor analysis.
Right. Okay, councillors, we go to conflict of interest declaration, item 10, outside meeting, this one. Neil? Okay. So we got reception, consideration of committee. First one is planning. Is the food here? Yeah.
Close enough.
We'll take a break. All right. Half an hour, any good? Can we do it half an hour? 1 o'clock. Councillors, item 11.1, Planning Regulation Committee. Councillor Hamill.
Mr Mayor, I move that the minutes of the 856th Planning and Regulation Committee meeting held on Tuesday, 27th of May 2025, covered by recommendations 1 to 8, be received.
Seconder, Councillor Doran. All in favour, show of hands. Against, motion carry. Any items, councillors, you want to deal separately? Councillor Hamill?
7.2, please, Mr Mayor.
We'll go to 7.2, councillors.
And to move the committee recommendation, please, Mr Mayor.
Move. Seconder, Councillor Tozer. Go ahead.
No need to have an opening address, Mr Mayor.
Okay. Anyone speak against? Put to the vote. All in favour, show of hands. Against, motion carried. All right. Any other items you want to deal separately? Councillor Hamill?
Mr Mayor, I move that all remaining recommendations be adopted.
Seconder, Councillor Doran. Put the motion to you. All in favour, show of hands. Against, motion carried. Unanimous. We go to governance, administration and finance. Councillor Patterson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I move that the minutes of the 855 Governance, Administration and Finance Committee meeting held on Tuesday, 27th of May 2025, covered by recommendations 1 to 6, be adopted. Be received.
Be
sorry.
received. Seconder, Councillor Martin. All in favour, show of hands. Against, motion carried. Any items you want to deal separately, councillors? Councillor Patterson?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I move that all recommendations be adopted.
Seconder, Councillor Martin. Put the motion to you. All in favour, show of hands. Against, motion carried. We now go to 11.3, lifestyle. Councillor Tozer.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I move that the minutes of the 855th Lifestyle, Environment, Heritage and Resilience Committee held on, 856th, the number's wrong because we had a special council meeting. Sorry, Mr Mayor. Held on the 29th of May 2025, covered by recommendations 1 to 10 be received.
Seconder, Councillor Marshall. Put the motion to you. All in favour, show of hands. Against, motion carried. Any items deal separately, Councillor Tozer?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yeah, I need to bring out item 7.1 because we need to it's a change recommendation, but it had an element in it that related to the budget, which we've now adopted. So I just need to move a change recommendation that omits the final clause in item 7.1.
Okay. Let's go to 7.1, councillors. And the amendment.
Second. Yes.
Seconder, Councillor Marshall.
Mr Mayor, this item related to the Community Lease Framework Review, and the only change that I'm making, Mr Mayor, is that at the meeting we realised that we'd gone through that special budget process and that the draft budget kind of process had run its course. But at the time we hadn't adopted the budget, so we included item 4, but we don't need to do that now because we've adopted the budget. And so what I'm moving is items 1, 2 and 3 and just
take 4 out.
Leaving 4 out.
Remove 4. Anyone want to speak against? Put the motion to you. All in favour, show of hands. Against, motion carried.
Can I have my vote against recorded, please, Mr Mayor?
Vote against recorded, please. Councillor Doran. Any other items?
Yeah, Mr Mayor, just item 6.3, and I'll just move the committee recommendation for that as well.
6.3 moved. Seconder, Councillor Hamill.
Mr Mayor, item 6.3 relates to Priority Species Conservation Program, which might seem like a strange thing for me to just pull out because it wasn't much debate on it. It was quite an informative piece, but at the LER committee on the 27th, we really captured all of what we've just talked about in the budget about this environment. We did 3 items, and this third one was really important. The first was the Natural City Story Map, which kind of captures all of the things that we're doing in relation to the environment. And so in the budget today and the videos you put out, people will read that, they'll see that, and they'll want to know more. And the place for them to go to find out more is type our Natural City Story Map into any sort of search engine and jump on there and have a look, because that captures every little environmental activity that's really been undertaken by the city over the last maybe 2 decades, and particularly talks about some of the work that's going on right now. It is very much an exciting time to be in the environmental area of the city. We're doing some great work, and that Natural City Story Map captures it. The second thing we talked about, Mr Mayor, was the Naturally Gold Coast program, and that program was just amazing, really. It is so well supported by councillors and the public, and it really encourages people not just to plant trees but to care about planting trees, and that was really exciting as well. But the one that I wanted to touch on today most importantly is this priority species conservation program. A lot of people don't realise that the Gold Coast is home to some of the most biodiverse environments, and there are a number of species of plant and animal that are only found on the Gold Coast. There is nowhere else in the world that they're found, nowhere else in Australia they're found. They're only found on the Gold Coast, and some of those, Mr. Mayor, are critically endangered. The Springbrook leatherwood, for instance, or the Ormo bottle tree, and these, the hinterland spiny crayfish. These are, very unique animals and plants that are only found in biodiverse environments like the Gold Coast, and this report talks about those and captures those. And I encourage people, if they're interested in that sort of stuff, they should read this report and realise how unique our environment is. And it's so in line with the comments you've made, Mr. Mayor, about us being the greenest city in the nation. And a
lot greener than Brisbane.
Yeah, a lot greener than Brisbane, Mr. Mayor, and I've no doubt that we're spending a lot more money than they are on these sort of initiatives, but definitely per capita. Mr. Mayor, I'll let the committee recommendation speak for itself, but it is important. If our councillors and the public haven't had a chance to read these reports, I encourage them to take a look at them.
Anyone want to speak against? Put the motion to you. All in favour, show your hands. Against, motion carried. Any other items, councillors? Councillor Tozer?
Mr. Mayor, I move that all remaining recommendations be adopted.
Seconder, Councillor Marshall. All in favour, show your hands. Against, motion carried. We now go to Economic, Tourism and Events. Councillor Castro.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I move the minutes of the 856th Economy, Tourism and Events Committee meeting held on Thursday, 29th of May, covered by recommendations 1 to 5 be received.
Seconder, Councillor Fowler. Put the motion to you. All in favour, show hands. Against, motion carry. Any items you wish to deal separately, councillors? Councillor Castro.
Move for adoption, please, Mr. Mayor.
Seconder, Councillor Fowler. All in favour, show hands.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor. Yeah. It says 852 Economy, Tourism and Events Committee.
It's not. It's 856, isn't it? Or 855.
I said 856.
Yeah, I know you said 856.
It's on the screen. It says 852.
Oh.
Well, can you change it to 856, please?
So it should say 852.
All right, 852 is right, apparently. 852. So the motion on the screen is correct.
Yeah, I thought it was, but
yeah, that's okay.
But everything else was 856, so I thought, okay, well must be 856, but I thought it was 852. But yeah.
All right, let's vote on it. All in favour, show hands. Against, motion carried. Water, Waste and Energy, Councillor Curtis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the minutes of the 856 Water, Waste and Energy Committee held on Tuesday, 3rd of June 2025, covered by recommendations 1 to 6 be received.
Seconder, Councillor Wilkinson. All in favour, show hands. Against, motion carry. Any items you wish to deal separately, councillors? Councillor Curtis.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that all recommendations be adopted.
Seconder, Councillor Wilkinson. All in favour, show hands. Against, motion carried. Transport Infrastructure, Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the minutes of the 856 Transport and Infrastructure Committee meeting held on Tuesday, the 3rd of June 2025, covered by recommendations 1 to 6 be received.
Seconder, Councillor Fowler. All in favour, show hands. Against, motion carried. Any other items separately? Councillor Taylor.
Thank you. I move that all recommendations be adopted.
Seconder, Councillor Wilkinson. All in favour, show hands. Against, motion carried. Councillor Gates.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Mayor. It was just that it was items 1 to 8, not 1 to 6. There was a matter of general business, so I just wanted to make that point.
All right, let's put it to 1 to 8 and let's re-vote it. Is it 1 to 8 there? I can't see on 1 to 8. Okay. We're good to go. All in favour, show hands. Against, motion carried. Thank you, Councillor Gates. Consideration notice of motion. Nil. Question on notice. Response to question on notice.
Mr. Mayor, the question on notice has been provided by the CEO, which I appreciate. I do have a changed recommendation, which I've given to the officers with your indulgence, if we could add to the recommendation.
Okay, let's have a look. Give me more work to do, eh?
Happy to second it, Mr. Mayor.
Second, Councillor Tozer. You want to speak for or against? No. All in favour, show of hands. Against, motion carried.
Thank you.
Mr. Wallace can start drafting that for me. Right. Presentation of petition. Councillor Hamill.
Mr. Mayor, in receipt of a petition with a request to develop and implement an online petition system, I'm pleased to present the petition and ask it be put to the appropriate committee for consideration.
Second, Councillor Martin. Put the motion to you. All in favour, show of hands. Against, motion carried. General business. Reported online. Councillor Tozer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Would you like me to read it out, or is being on screen enough?
On screen's good enough.
Excellent. I'll move it if that's okay. If I can get a seconder, I can speak to it.
Second, Councillor Fowler.
Mr. Mayor, this relates to a decision of council during our recent conversations about waste in the city. I have it under good authority from officers that some of the decisions that we made at that were meant to come into effect on the 1st of July ultimately would not result in a cost saving, but would actually result in a frontline service reduction at this stage, the way they were worded. And they've asked me to advocate for an additional 6 months just to come up with a more unique and perhaps accommodating solution. And that's what this effectively hopes to do. There was some supporting material I sent to the Chief of Staff in your office that talked about it. It really is a quite a minor matter, but it just gives us 6 more months to make sure that those rural and kind of isolated waste and recycling centres get a unique service that's most appropriate from that for them without a reduction in frontline service, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Mr. CEO, could you hoover up the Mayoral minute dated 18th of February? And it's a similar motion, but it's got a few extra things. So if you can have it all included in the one report.
Sure.
Put the motion to you. All in favour, show of hands. Against, motion carried. No, just a second. (16.1) councillors.
The next item that was listed was the late item that we discussed.
Oh,
if you don't mind.
Yep. You
Thank you for accepting this late general business item for consideration, Mr. Mayor. I move that Councillor Peter Young be granted leave from attending the 857th meeting of Planning and Regulation Committee to be held on the 15th of July.
Seconder.
Second.
Councillor Taylor. Anyone speak against? You want to make sure he stays? Anyone? Put the motion to you. All in favour, show of hands. Against, motion carried. 16.1 councillors. Council, I've been advised that there was an issue publishing the report and attachment for this item. 16.1 on our website by close of business yesterday, as we are required under the Act. Therefore, I move that we defer the item 16.1 to Council's meeting of 29th of July. So I move that the item be deferred for consideration at the 857 meeting of Council on the 29th of July 2025. Seconder? Yep.
May I ask a question?
Yep.
Mr. Mayor, this is really disappointing. And I would just like to ask you, through you, to our legal counsel, is there any way that we can host this today?
Coming back to you.
Given that it is now been made public and I cannot speak to it for another month.
Yeah, Mr. CEO.
It's out there in the public stream, but my ability to speak to it is limited. Very disappointed. If this was going to occur, the city should not have released it. The city has already released the public agenda.
Because Mr. CEO.
Thank you. No, there's not. I've literally within the last hour received advice on this matter. It was a genuine administration error for which I, on behalf of the city administration, apologise to you and to councillors for. I can tell you we only became aware of it this morning. I've literally received the advice and come back into the chamber now. And again, I apologise to you and I apologise to elected officials. It was a genuine administrative mistake.
Okay, Councillor Patterson. Seconder, Councillor Tozer. Right. Question, Councillor Peter Young.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I missed the very start of your
I'll read it again.
about that. Can you?
Councillors have been advised that there was an issue publishing the report and attachment for item 16.1 on our website by close of business yesterday, as we are required to do under the Act.
Thank you.
Therefore, I move that we defer the item 16.1 to Council's meeting of the 29th of July.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Fowler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And through you, could I ask what the issue was? Was it not published at all? Was it published slightly late? What was the issue?
It was published late. It was.
Okay, just take on notice. Is it relevant? Put it to the vote. All in favour, show of hands. Against, motion carried. Did you vote, Councillor Fowler? Did you vote no at all? Yes. What are you going to vote? Abstain? What? You got to do something. Pardon? Okay, no. Record no. Right. 16.2. We've got to go to close, I think, don't we?
Well, it depends.
Wait a minute. Don't scroll to it.
No, it doesn't have the
Yes, question, Councillor Tozer.
Mr. Mayor, we've been provided the papers for item 16.1. Will they be reissued or should we retain the papers we have reissued? Thank you. Sorry. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
No worries.
Can answer your question.
16.2, go ahead.
So 16.2 we can answer as always in general terms, but any discussion about candidates on the list will require us to go into close. But if you've got questions about the process, we can answer them in open.
All right. I don't have 16.2.
Mr. Mayor, if no one has any questions, I'm happy just to move it rather than go.
Okay, move. Councillor Gates, second, Councillor Tozer. You want to speak on that?
Simply to say, Mr. Mayor, contrary to things I've heard, I'm absolutely 100% supportive of the appointment that's being suggested. So I just want to throw my weight behind that and say thank you.
That's it. Anyone want to speak against? Put the motion to you. All in favour, show of hands. Against, motion carried. Mr. CEO, anything else?
No, there is not.
Meeting closed, 13:20.